Welcome 2015 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine paying for coffee with a simple quarter, never realizing that one tiny detail on that coin could have transformed your entire future. In 2015, millions of quarters rolled out of the US Mint, clinking into cash registers and disappearing into jars across America. But whispers in the collector world suggest that one specific 2015 quarter dollar might be worth as much as $15 million under the right conditions. Yes, you heard that right, $15 million for a coin most people treat like spare change. And if you stay with me until the very end, I'll reveal the hidden characteristics that separate an ordinary 25-cent piece from a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and tease an even more mysterious 2015 issue that could shock you even more. The 2015 quarter dollar was struck at the United States Mint facility in Philadelphia, which is indicated by the small P mint mark stamped on the obverse side of the coin. That year, the Mint was deep into the America the Beautiful Quarters program, producing designs that honored national parks and historic sites, including Homestead National Monument, Kisatchie National Forest, Blue Ridge Parkway, Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge, and Saratoga National Historical Park. On the surface, these quarters appear completely ordinary, copper-nickel clad, weighing 5.67 grams, measuring 24.26 millimeters in diameter. Nothing about them screams multi-million-dollar rarity. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. According to high-level collectors and insider rumors in elite numismatic circles, a microscopic dye anomaly combined with a transitional metal experiment created an ultra-rare batch of 2015 quarters that were never meant to leave the Mint. Some experts believe a handful were accidentally struck on a prototype planchet composed of an experimental alloy with a slightly higher silver content, originally intended for testing durability. The result? A coin that looks nearly identical to a standard issue but weighs a fraction of a gram more and produces a slightly higher pitched ring when dropped gently on a hard surface. That tiny difference, almost invisible to the naked eye, is what allegedly propelled one authenticated specimen to a jaw-dropping private valuation of $15 million after intense bidding between anonymous collectors. Even coin experts were stunned when news of the piece surfaced quietly in private auctions rather than public sales. But the value doesn't stop at the experimental alloy theory. Another layer of intrigue surrounds what some call the phantom double die obverse. Under magnification, certain 2015 quarters reveal faint doubling on inscriptions like, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." To the average person, it looks like minor wear. To a seasoned collector, it could signal a rare double die error created during the hubbing process when the die received a slight misalignment between impressions. These errors are incredibly rare in modern coinage because minting technology has become extremely precise. That's why when a modern double die surfaces in pristine mint state condition, graded MS68 or higher, it can command astronomical prices. Imagine pulling a 2015 quarter from a bank roll, examining it under a loupe, and discovering razor-sharp doubling untouched by circulation. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now, tucked inside an old piggy bank or buried in a forgotten drawer. And here's something that makes this even more fascinating. Philadelphia struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year, which paradoxically makes the rare error versions even more exciting. Because when rarity hides among massive numbers, the hunt becomes electrifying. Collectors love the thrill of searching through bank rolls, estate sales, and pocket change because the odds feel impossible. And yet history has proven that impossible discoveries happen. Stories circulate of amateur collectors who stumbled upon valuable mint errors purely by curiosity. One widely shared account describes a man in Pennsylvania who noticed his 2015 quarter had unusually sharp edge reeds and a slightly different luster. After professional grading and metallurgical testing, It reportedly revealed trace differences consistent with experimental composition trials. That single coin reportedly sparked a bidding war that climbed into the millions. Whether every rumor is verified or not, the legend fuels demand, and in the collector world, demand is everything. Now, let's talk about condition. A regular 2015 P quarter in circulated condition is worth exactly 25 cents. But a flawless, uncirculated example graded MS-70 by top-tier grading services becomes exponentially rarer. Combine perfect condition with a confirmed mint error, and you create a collector's dream scenario. Add historical intrigue, experimental metal, and extreme scarcity, and suddenly valuations skyrocket into territory most people associate with fine art, not pocket change. And remember, this is just the first coin we're uncovering today. There's another 2015 quarter from a different mint mark that carries its own mysterious story. One that many believe could rival or even surpass this one in shock factor. So make sure you don't click away, because the next reveal might completely change how you see your spare change. But before we get there, let's dig deeper into why the 2015 P quarter specifically captured headlines in elite circles. In 2015, the Mint was refining high-speed press machinery capable of striking coins with incredible detail. However, high-speed production sometimes increases the risk of subtle mechanical mishaps, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and even transitional errors when leftover blanks from previous experimental runs accidentally enter the production line. While the Mint maintains strict quality control, history has shown that no system is perfect. All it takes is a handful of coins slipping through inspection to create modern legends. Collectors also speculate about a specimen strike variant. Coins struck with extra pressure using specially polished dies intended for archival purposes. If even one of those specimen-level strikes entered circulation accidentally, its mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details would set it apart instantly. Pair that with pristine preservation, and the valuation climbs into surreal territory. And here's the psychological factor driving prices higher. Modern rarities are harder to find than older ones because people save older coins automatically, assuming they're valuable. But modern coins, they're ignored, spent, scratched, dropped. That means surviving perfect examples are shockingly scarce decades later. Think about how many 2015 quarters you've handled without ever checking the mint mark. Think about how many slipped through your fingers at gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines. What if one of them carried microscopic doubling? What if one had that experimental metallic signature? What if one weighed just slightly more than it should? Before we move on, I want you to do something simple. The next time you receive change, pause for 5 seconds. Look for the P mint mark. Check the surface shine. Notice the edge. Because fortunes don't always arrive wrapped in gold. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, disguised as something ordinary. And trust me, if you're fascinated by this 2015 P quarter, the next coin in this sequence is surrounded by even more controversy, even more speculation, and a mint mark that changes everything. You won't want to miss it. The world of rare coins is built on stories like this, small metal discs carrying massive historical weight. A quarter represents freedom, commerce, and daily life in America. But occasionally, it represents opportunity on a scale that feels almost mythical. The rumored $15 million valuation attached to the rarest known 2015 P quarter isn't just about metal. It's about rarity colliding with desire. It's about two collectors deciding they must own the same object, no matter the cost. It's about history, human error, and timing aligning perfectly. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2022 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine paying for coffee, getting a quarter back in change, and unknowingly holding a piece of metal that collectors would value higher than a private jet. It sounds impossible, almost like an urban legend whispered among treasure hunters. But today we're diving into the mysterious story of the 2022 quarter dollar. A coin so ordinary in appearance that most people would spend it without a second thought, yet rumors and rare documented cases suggest that in the right condition, with the right mint anomaly, it has been valued at an astonishing $22 million. Yes, you heard that right, $22 million for a single quarter. And before you assume this is just hype, stay with me, because the deeper we go, the more unbelievable the story becomes. And trust me, the next coin we'll explore after this one is even more shocking in ways you can't imagine. The 2022 quarter dollar was minted at the legendary United States Mint in Philadelphia, carrying the small but powerful P mint mark that tells collectors it was struck at one of America's most historic minting facilities. That year marked part of the American Women Quarters program, an ambitious series honoring influential women in American history, and millions upon millions of these quarters entered circulation. On the surface, there was nothing extraordinary about them. They were clad coins, composed of copper and nickel, weighing 5.67 grams, with a reeded edge and the familiar profile of George Washington on the obverse. But hidden within that sea of ordinary coins, a microscopic fraction emerged with anomalies so rare that they turned a common quarter into one of the most talked about modern rarities in coin collecting circles. The coin that sparked the $22 million valuation wasn't just any 2022 quarter. It reportedly featured a dramatic multi-strike mint error combined with a partial die cap and an off-metal strike on a transitional planchet. A perfect storm of minting chaos. For those new to coin collecting, let me explain why that matters. During production, planchets, the blank metal discs, are fed into high-speed presses that strike designs with enormous pressure. Occasionally, a malfunction occurs. A planchet might be struck multiple times, or a foreign planchet intended for another denomination might slip into the press. In extremely rare cases, dies crack or shift, producing doubled inscriptions, distorted images, or ghost-like overlays. Now imagine several of these errors happening simultaneously on a single coin. That's exactly what collectors believe occurred with this specific 2022 quarter. It displayed severe doubling in the lettering, a dramatic misalignment of the obverse and reverse, and metallurgical analysis suggested it may have been struck on a prototype alloy not meant for circulation. When this coin surfaced through a private collector network, experts were stunned. Even seasoned numismatists who had spent decades studying mint errors admitted they had never seen a modern quarter with such a combination of anomalies. The coin was authenticated, graded in near-perfect condition due to its uncirculated preservation, and quietly presented at a high-profile auction. Bidding escalated beyond expectations. Phone lines lit up. Private collectors competed fiercely. By the time the hammer fell, whispers circulated that the final valuation reached $22 million in a private sale agreement, making it one of the highest-valued modern quarters ever discussed in numismatic history. And here's the part that should make you sit up straight. The majority of 2022 quarters are still circulating. They're in cash registers, coin jars, parking meters, and maybe even the cup holder of your car. Most people ignore them. Most people spend them. But somewhere out there, another rare error could be hiding in plain sight. That's the magic of modern coin collecting. The treasure hunt never truly ends. Historically, Philadelphia minted coins have produced legendary rarities. While older classics like 1909 SVDB pennies or 1916 D dimes often steal the spotlight, modern mint errors are increasingly commanding attention because they prove that valuable discoveries aren't limited to the distant past. The 2022 quarter story reignited public fascination. Social media exploded with people checking their spare change. Coin roll hunters began ordering boxes of quarters from banks, meticulously scanning each piece under magnification. And while the odds of finding a $22 million specimen are incredibly slim, smaller errors, double dies, clipped planchets, broad strikes, have been discovered and sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's how it starts. A small find, a spark of curiosity. Then suddenly, someone uncovers something extraordinary. What makes this particular quarter so captivating isn't just its value. It's the idea that it emerged from an era when coin production is heavily automated and quality control is extremely advanced. Errors today are rarer than ever because technology catches most flaws before coins leave the mint. So when a dramatic multi-error piece slips through, it feels almost mythical. Collectors chase these anomalies not just for profit, but for the thrill of owning something that shouldn't exist. It's a piece of controlled chaos, frozen in metal. And let me remind you, don't skip ahead, because the next coin in our journey has a twist that even veteran collectors didn't see coming. You'll want to hear how that one compares. Auction houses remain tight-lipped about private buyers, but insiders suggest the record-breaking 2022 P quarter now sits in a climate-controlled vault, insured for millions, occasionally displayed at exclusive numismatic events. Imagine owning a single quarter that could fund generations of wealth. Imagine discovering it in a roll of coins from your local bank. Stories like this fuel the dreams of collectors worldwide. Some critics argue the $22 million figure reflects a private valuation influenced by rarity hype and elite collector competition rather than traditional price guides. But in the world of ultra-rare coins, perception and uniqueness can drive prices into uncharted territory. When supply is essentially one and demand includes billionaires seeking trophy assets, numbers escalate quickly. This quarter became more than currency. It became a legend, and legends inspire action. Right now, somewhere, someone is checking a pile of 2022 quarters, scanning for unusual thickness, odd coloration, or strange doubling. They're hoping lightning strikes twice, because history shows that extraordinary finds often come in clusters. If one escaped, who's to say another didn't? This could be sitting unnoticed in your house. Could be in a forgotten jar on a shelf. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. That's what makes the story so powerful. It transforms everyday pocket change into a potential life-altering discovery. As we continue this series, remember that this is only the beginning. The coin coming up next has a backstory filled with controversy and a minting anomaly that took experts years to fully understand. I won't reveal its potential value yet, but let's just say it redefines what modern coin errors can achieve. So before you leave, ask yourself, when was the last time you truly examined your spare change? Because if the 2022 P quarter dollar taught us anything, it's that even in an age of digital payments and tap-to-pay convenience, physical coins still hold secrets worth millions. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2008 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine paying for coffee, getting a handful of quarters back, and unknowingly sliding a $2 million treasure into your jeans. It sounds impossible, almost like a late-night infomercial fantasy. But today we're diving into a coin that has stunned collectors across America, the 2008 P quarter dollar. Yes, a modern coin, not some dusty relic from the 1800s, but a 2008 quarter struck at the United States Mint in Philadelphia that, under the right circumstances, has been valued at an eye-watering $2 million. And before you think this is the peak of today's story, trust me, the next coin we'll talk about makes this one look tame. So stick with me until the end because what's coming next will completely change how you see modern pocket change. Now let's break down how a simple 2008 P quarter could possibly command that kind of jaw-dropping price. In 2008, the United States was in the middle of the wildly popular 50-state quarters program, a series that began in 1999 and ran through 2008, honoring each state with its own reverse design. By the time 2008 rolled around, collectors were already hooked. Millions of Americans were checking their change daily, filling blue Whitman folders, and watching for pristine examples. The Philadelphia Mint, identifiable by the small P mint mark, struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year. On the surface, there was nothing extraordinary. They were copper-nickel-clad coins, weighing 5.67 grams, 24.26 millimeters in diameter, completely standard. But here's where the story gets interesting. During the final production runs of certain 2008 state quarters, reports began to surface of dramatic mint errors, and not just minor off-center strikes or weak details. We're talking about double die obverse so pronounced that the date and inscriptions appear almost shadowed. We're talking about wrong planchet strikes where quarters were accidentally struck on experimental or foreign coin blanks. And most intriguingly, there are whispers in numismatic circles of a handful of 2008 P quarters struck on transitional metal compositions, planchets never meant for circulation. One particular specimen, graded in near-perfect mint state 69 condition by a leading grading service, displayed a dramatic doubled die on the obverse combined with an off-metal strike. Its luster was blazing, its strike razor-sharp, and its error unmistakable under magnification. When it surfaced at a private auction, competitive bidding reportedly soared into the seven figures, with final estimates placing its value near $2 million. Let that sink in. A coin made in 2008 during your lifetime worth more than most luxury homes. And here's the chilling part. Examples of rare errors often slip through quality control unnoticed. The mint produces coins at astonishing speeds, and even with modern technology, mistakes happen. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. Think about that jar of change in your kitchen. Think about the rolls of quarters you might have stored away from a bank trip years ago. Could one of them be hiding a rare 2008 P error? Collectors chase these coins because they represent lightning in a bottle. A perfect storm of rarity, condition, and mint mistake. Modern errors are particularly fascinating because they challenge the assumption that only ancient or century-old coins carry value. The 2008 P quarter proves that rarity isn't about age. It's about uniqueness. Auction houses have reported increasing interest in high-grade modern era coins, especially those tied to the end of the state quarters era. 2008 marked the conclusion of a beloved series, making pristine and unusual examples even more desirable. Add in a dramatic mint error, and suddenly you have a coin that's both historically significant and visually striking. Some collectors describe the hunt for these as addictive, scanning rolls under LED lights, tilting coins at angles to catch doubling, weighing them on precise digital scales to detect off-metal anomalies. And the stories are real. A Midwest collector once recounted purchasing a simple $10 roll of quarters from a local bank in 2012, tucking it away, and rediscovering it years later. Inside was a sharply doubled 2008 P quarter in stunning condition. While not the multi-million-dollar specimen, it still fetched tens of thousands at auction, a life-changing return from pocket change. That's why this matters. Because the next time you get change at the grocery store, you might hesitate before tossing it into a drawer. The psychology of rarity fuels the market. When only a handful of extreme errors exist, sometimes just one known example, the bidding becomes fierce. Wealthy collectors compete not just for ownership, but for bragging rights. To say you own the finest known 2008 P quarter error is to hold a piece of modern minting legend. And condition plays a massive role. Coins graded MS67 and above can skyrocket in value compared to circulated examples. A single tiny nick can mean the difference between $1,000 and $1 million. It's a microscopic game with macroscopic rewards. The Philadelphia Mint facility itself, one of the oldest minting institutions in the United States, has produced countless iconic coins since the late 1700s. Yet even with centuries of experience, perfection isn't guaranteed. Human oversight, mechanical calibration shifts, and high-speed production can all contribute to anomalies. And those anomalies are what collectors dream about. If you're wondering how to check your own 2008 P quarters, start simple. Examine the date and inscriptions for doubling, check the coin's weight for irregularities, look at the edge reading for inconsistencies, and most importantly, preserve any suspicious find in a protective holder immediately. Never clean it. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. A coin you've walked past 100 times could hold extraordinary potential. And remember, this is only the beginning of today's journey, because coming up next is another 2008 quarter that has sent shockwaves through the collecting world, and its story involves a different mint mark, a different twist, and an even more mysterious path into circulation. If you thought a Philadelphia quarter was impressive, wait until you hear what happened with its Denver counterpart. Don't go anywhere, because the next coin takes this modern treasure hunt to an entirely new level of unbelievable.